Back in studio with the guys to dissect what we saw, fellas, and we have a whole lot to get into, but I cannot take my eyes away from who Patrick Mahomes is in the biggest moments of these football games. Poised once again. We're going to get through some of the game flow and what led us there, but Pat, not just in that last drive, but in each one of those fourth quarter drives, Mac, about as calm, cool, and collected as you can expect. What stood out?
Just the consistency when the moment is at its highest. He is always cool, calm, collected. And the thing I love about Pat Mahomes, watching him today, guys, was that we know he can throw the football around the yard. But his running, and remember during the pregame show, I emphasized in terms of Pat Mahomes might not have displayed the running ability throughout the regular season, of course, so far in the playoffs. But on Championship Sunday, I said he loves to run the football. We saw that in opportunities in between the 20s. We saw that in the red zone. Of course, we saw two major rushing touchdowns where he just made a play and became the ultimate playmaker for their offense. Pat Mahomes continues to surprise all of us. And I don't know why we're surprised, because we've seen his resume. We know exactly what he can do. But he's just the ultimate playmaker in the National Football League. Look at this. Quarterback design run. It was a boot concept. Decided that, you know what, I'm going to take off, get some positive yards. Unbelievable day for Pat Mahomes. Unbelievable night for the Chiefs.
Christian, you played with a young Tom Brady.
Yeah.
So maybe not at the point of his career where, you know, you believed in him, but didn't inspire the, hey, it's Pat, it's the ball, we got this thing. To play next to a player of that ilk, what does that have to make these Chiefs players feel when you're in the fourth quarter and you're chasing points?
You're never out of it. No, if there's enough time left on the clock, you're still in it, they're still away, and if there isn't a way, you'll find a way. When you go back to a couple years ago when the Chiefs played the Bills and the whole famous 13 seconds, that's your standard, like that's your floor. Hey guys, we can overcome anything. We won a game with 13 seconds left on the clock. So why should we be intimidated or nervous about the situation we find ourselves in? And I would also give credit to Andy Reid and Coach Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator. On the I would say the three biggest calls was the fourth down call that Spagnuolo threw at Josh Allen. It was a blitz that I don't think he had shown all day. Three guys coming loose. He has to heave it up there. Kincaid can't come down with it. And, of course, the last two passing plays, tailbacks in the flat. It's like the same concept, the same scheme, and the Bills still couldn't figure it out.
Yeah. And to your point, Samaje Perine, that was his only catch of the day.
First touch.
First touch came in the defining moment to seal the deal for the Chiefs en road to New Orleans.
Christian, I think you touched on something there, and it is that almost reserving something for that special moment, or in this case, for that special day. We saw a lot of Reid stuff from Patrick Mahomes we hadn't seen this season, some RPO on those first couple drives. For Andy Reid to have that confidence in his players, that only builds over time as they chase now a third consecutive Super Bowl title. Belief in Coach 2 players is another layer of that.
You will not find a dynasty where there isn't a quarterback head coach connection. Walsh, Montana, Brady, Belichick, it just goes on. And now you got Mahomes and you got Andy Reid. Like, they go together. So in 10 years from now, just like they're doing with Brady and Belichick, there will be some TV station or some YouTube channel that will sit there and do a show about who is more important, who had more to do with the win. I got the answer for you. That you can't. Neither one of them are capable of achieving this without the other. Yeah. It goes hand in hand.
Mahomes doing it here with Andy Reid as he passes Joe Montana for the second most playoff wins by a starting quarterback in NFL history. He's going to his 5th Super Bowl in 6 seasons. This is his 7th year starting. You talked about the standard. You talked about the floor. This is what we're talking about here with Patrick Mahomes. On the other side of this, for as grand as the joy is for Kansas City, the heartbreak for Buffalo compounding as well. Mac, with each one of these near misses, do you feel like they're getting closer to that ultimate goal? Or when you smell it, when you taste it, when you touch it, does it feel like you're almost getting further from it?
Well, this one will hurt Buffalo. It feels like a gut punch. Getting punched in the stomach knocks all the wind out of you. And the reason why this one really hurts, because number one, no one really visualized the Buffalo Bills getting to this point. When you look at how we viewed this team in August, with so much turnover on the roster, especially in the offensive side, not knowing exactly who was going to step up to the plate to be a big-time playmaker for Josh Allen, losing some pieces on the defensive side as well, and then dealing with injuries. And then the expectations changed during the season because of how well they played. And they got to a point this season where your quarterback is one of the best guys in the National Football League. And he was doing a great job in protecting the football. So you came into this matchup, no question believing we can defeat Goliath. And in a moment where you really had them defining plays. See, that's the thing. When you play Kansas City in late January, number one, you have to really beat them. You got to beat them twice. Because if you give them any glimmer of hope, they will always stick around. Number two, you got to make the necessary plays. And I understand that was a very, very difficult play for Dalton Kincaid, and that wasn't the deciding factor in why they lost. But those are plays you have to make. Because when you play against Kansas City, the room for error is at its bare minimum. You cannot make simple mistakes. You have to make routine plays happen routinely, but you also have to make the miracle plays happen as well. And those are the things that they have to learn to do to be able to get over this hurdle of what we're seeing right now in the National Football League of Michael Jordan, who is Pat Mahomes, and Phil Jackson, who is Andy Reid.
Yeah, that's another great coach-player comparison, too, in another sport. I will say this, that Bills offensive line, and you heard Nance and Romo talking about it, how, like, that group had been together the longest amount of time in the NFL. Like, those 5 guys, there was a couple guys, Spencer Brown missed a couple games, but ultimately, those 5 guys have been together the entire season. So you would think a tough situation on a third, fourth down like this, they would be able to pick it up.
Man.
They didn't know what was going on. So credit to Steve Spagnuolo for keeping that in his back pocket for the perfect timing when he knew he only had one chance to make a difference. And even with that said, Allen, being the stud that he is, was able to get the ball off.
Yeah.
Now, back-to-back weeks where a tight end can't come up with a play. Because I will say, you got to come up with that. Championship teams make those plays.
You got to make them. You got to make them.
It is no disrespect. It's just the way it is.
That's how you beat the Chiefs.
Yeah, that is how you beat the Chiefs.
And coming at the arm side there, Spags dialing one up in the biggest moment. I'm glad we're talking about game flow and some of the biggest plays in this game because it's the total sum of all these moments. And I want to talk about a big moment and a big turning point that's going to be talked about plenty coming out of this football game. Fourth quarter, we're looking at a 22-21 game. Buffalo going for it on fourth down here, guys.
There's a lot going on this play because 2 line judges, each line judge had it different.
One comes in short, one comes in tall of it. The ruling on the field was short and a turnover on downs. By the letter of the law, we have to see that ball cross the line.
And Chris
Jones's body is in the wrong spot.
Being the ultimate Buffalo Bill hater, stood in
nothing else. This is reason enough for VAR. How do you pick apart, Christian, the officiating of this moment and was it officiated to the letter of the law?
So this one was technically, listen, I don't like the way it ended because, I can easily see this is a buddy system between these 2 line judges. One is, obviously, it shows he didn't get the first down. The other one clearly had it. The one who clearly had Josh Allen getting the first down actually weaved his way in to be even with the other line judge who didn't have him. So obviously the replay didn't work. But I would say, this is an issue for the Bills and the calls that they were throwing out there. The constant tush-push, the constant quarterback sneak, and Josh Allen constantly going to his left like there was going to be a crease there. There wasn't. I would have preferred them stay in the shotgun, toss it to the backs, give James Cook 2 more cracks at it, put Jumbo out there. They wouldn't do it. They just kept going to the quarterback sneak, and it wasn't working.
Yeah, that was a defining moment, guys. That turnover on downs was a defining moment because they were basically on the cusp of being in scoring range, potentially field goal range. And they were already up 1 point. And the way how they were flowing offensively, it felt like they could actually score a touchdown. But that was the one play the Chiefs needed to make to kind of change the course of the ball game. And how many times have we seen these things happen for Kansas City, where they make the much needed, necessary play at the right time to kind of jumpstart their efforts to do what they were able to do tonight and win this ball game. And for Buffalo, that's another learning point. You have to find a way to capitalize on opportunities because you're only going to get a few. When you play against Kansas City in late January, you're only going to get a few opportunities to grab hold of the win. And when you don't take advantage of those said opportunities, because that was an opportunity. You talked about how many times have we seen Josh Allen with this Bills-like tush-push? It's almost unstoppable.
And he doesn't have he is the push.
Yes.
He's not getting that assist. It's a lateral thing where he's moving sideways and just trying to be Josh Allen.
Yeah, and we usually see it work well in most cases for Buffalo, but in tonight's matchup, to your point, Christian, they had issues, and that right there gave Pat Mahomes the moment.
Yeah.
Right there, and they never look back.
Even the design of it, when you, not to just compare it to Philly, but they always have a big guy.
A bigger guy pushing.
And behind the quarterback. They were having a back behind the quarterback.
And even when you look at when Baltimore does it with Mark Andrews, who's pushing Mark Andrews? Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
A bigger, stronger guy that can give you the needed momentum that you need to be able to get that 1 inch.
So Buffalo on the wrong side of that spot, but putting themselves in that scenario is what I'm hearing from you guys.
Yeah.
I need a final thought here on Kansas City because there's so much history in this one. First team ever to reach 5 Super Bowls in 6 seasons. First team ever to reach a Super Bowl after winning back-to-back Super Bowls. The three-peat chase goes on. KC, 9 consecutive playoff wins, the second longest streak in NFL history. Patrick Mahomes, the 3rd starting quarterback in the history of our sport to make 5 Super Bowls. Only Brady and Elway. Now, the great Patrick Mahomes on that list. This is rarefied air, and we keep on going higher, Mac. I know there's some fatigue as it pertains to the Kansas City Chiefs. I can't help but enjoy and celebrate this era that we are in. How are you processing this latest victory?
You know what? Anytime you get an opportunity to watch greatness, you have to appreciate it because that's what makes this game so entertaining. These type of storylines, because if you love the Chiefs, you're going to watch them because you want to see them achieve greatness. If you hate the Chiefs, you're going to watch them because you want to see someone beat them.
Either way, you're
going to be one of the more watched teams in our sport because of your success and the love that you receive, and the opposite end, the hate that you receive as well. So you have to embrace this greatness because it takes a lot in terms of winning the championship, hoisting the sticky Lombardi, and doing it over and over again when you talk about the turnover. Losing players to free agency, players wanting more money. You might have a disgruntled guy in the locker room. Losing coaches to go to other organizations because you've been so good. Most teams want to pluck your coaches because they like what you've done, and you still find a way to be able to be championship-like year in and year out. And the last thing I'll say, I'm going to take this from Pat Mahomes. I heard him say this. I understand we're in the midst of potentially watching the Chiefs three-peat, something that we've never seen done before. And with that being said, what he said, Chief Pete. Pat, I'm right there with you. Coin the phrase, instead of three-peat, Chief Pete.
I think this is amazing because the Patriots had this like 20-year run of success and 8 straight conference championships. Brady with 6 Super Bowls with the Patriots. Really 3 separate dynasties if you really want to kind of splice it up a little bit. And I didn't think we would see another team literally almost make you go, well, those Patriot teams, they weren't that good. I mean, that's kind of what this run of the Chiefs is doing. And I talked about the wins, the playoff wins before this game even started. What is it? Belichick has 31. Now, Andy Reid has 28, so he's catching them.
And I believe that is 14 consecutive championship Sundays featuring either Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes. That baton was passed quite immediately.
And Tom's been retired for how many years? What, 3-4 years, right?
He's going to have a great view of Patrick Mahomes on this Super Bowl Sunday as they will take on the Eagles in New Orleans. Fellas, great stuff as always as the Chiefs roll on towards what could be the first ever three-peat in the history of the sport. Most Super Bowl starts by a quarterback. Patrick Mahomes matching John Elway now with 5. Elway had to go through those druthers before he got the back-to-back on the way out. Mahomes, just 1 blemish, and it belongs to the only man above him on this list, that being Tom Brady. The beat goes on for the Big Red Machine.